Hey guys, quick announcement before we get into the show. I just wanted to announce our new sponsor, fantasygo.com. It's an awesome website where you could go to. Me and Perry both signed up as analysts, so you could actually go on there and hire us to set your lineup for the week. It's cheap, it's super easy to use. It actually syncs up with your Yahoo, and we can see your waiver wire, your scoring rules, your entire team, and make moves for you if you want us to, or we could just give you advice if that's what you're into. And it gives you a direct line of communication with us. So it's awesome, super user friendly. Right now, it's available on Yahoo or for Yahoo, and it's about to launch for every platform. So go ahead and sign up on there, and hire one of us to set your lineup or your favorite analyst, which I assume is us. So get on there and do that. And I'll link our profiles on there at the bottom in the description of this video. So make sure you guys go on there and hire us. It's awesome website. Just gives you a chance to connect with your favorite analysts and have them set your lineup for you. So yeah, get on there and do that. Welcome, everybody. It's November 4th, 2019. I'm Justin, and once again, I'm joined by the lovely Perry.
Lovely. Justin, I've been telling you, you gotta stop eating those magnets, man. You're getting too attractive.
I mean, they taste so good, though.
I bet they don't. I bet they
uh,
don't.
how was your vacation, Perry? I'm going to get into this before we get into the where they can find our channel and all that.
Uh, it was okay. It was good. No, it was good. I wouldn't call it a vacation. I guess
Oh,
that's why I stuttered through that. I went to BlizzCon. If you don't know what that is, it's a video game convention down in Anaheim, California. While it's fun, like a vacation, it's exhausting. Early mornings, late nights,
so
walking around on your feet all day.
PAX
Uh,
all over again.
yeah, it's just like PAX, but it's fun. It was fun. I slept like 11 hours last night. I plan on sleeping as many as I can tonight as well. But had a great time. Met some people that I hadn't met before. Just
I'll try and remember no early phone calls for you tomorrow.
it's fine. I'll just sleep through them. But yeah, really good time. I saw the episode you did without me. That was a little bit weird
I
watching
know
it.
it felt weird.
Yeah, but it was a good episode. I hope the listeners all check it out, of course. But now I'm back, so
Yeah,
it's
we
my
can do it
territory.
right.
Yeah, my territory. I got to figure out a way how to mark my territory.
Yeah,
Uh,
the Rum Boys want to have us on their show. I told them I'd get with you. We'll figure out when a good time for both of us to go on their show is. So that'll be cool.
yeah, for sure. Uh,
Uh,
let everybody know where they can find us, Justin.
yeah, so you guys can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher, and everywhere, a plethora of other podcast companies.
That's a lot of podcast companies.
um, yeah, make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube. That we really appreciate it if you guys do that and share it with your friends and family. And
That
yeah,
is
we'll greatly appreciate that.
that is if you guys care about how this show does, that is the best way to support us. It almost better than listening, but of course listen. But yeah, if you want to support us in any way, subscribe, have your friends subscribe. Costs them nothing, and it helps us out a whole lot. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, and so getting through that, now, do you want to talk about this Monday night game and the news? Or I guess the news is more important than the Monday night game. We'll
Um,
get to some of those players.
yeah, I mean yeah, we'll talk about the game a little bit. We'll get into some news here. Nothing like gigantic coming out this week, but there are some things to talk about. Mark Walton, we've talked about him in the past. It looks like he's going to be facing a 4-game suspension
That's
uh,
right.
in connection to 3 arrests he had in the off season, all involving some kind of substance abuse. Um, Man, it's weird to me that we're in week 10 now officially, and now this is happening. But in the offseason, he was arrested 3 times. I just don't know why that takes so long for that to get figured
Yeah.
out. Or
I don't know. I think maybe, people once you start getting more famous, you got more people trying to take you down. But that
yeah,
sucks.
I will say, Kalen Balaj, if you're in a deep league, you've had horrible luck at running back, whatever it may be, he is a starting running back in the NFL. Sometimes that's a little bit hard to find. He's not an auto sit. He's a tick higher than an auto sit. That's kind of how I'll put that. Not somebody I'm targeting necessarily, but who knows?
Yeah. If I'm desperate with
Yeah,
injuries and bye weeks, then it's a
sure.
consideration.
Yeah, just keep him in mind is all I'm saying. Deshaun Jackson, a guy that I had high hope.
Tragic.
Yeah, I had high hopes for him coming into the year. He's going to have surgery. He's likely done for the season. Um, repair a core muscle injury. The fact that they're saying likely done, I think that's even an understatement. When it comes to the core, you're out for a long time. I had a hernia repaired in my abdomen when I was in high school, and I mean I couldn't do any heavy lifting or anything for like it was like 4 months, uh, and I'm not a professional athlete, so
Wait,
I don't.
what?
Yeah, I had a hernia repaired in my
No,
stomach.
you're not a professional athlete?
No, well, I mean, unless video games are,
Oh,
well,
okay. Yeah. Yeah, I
no,
was kind
actually,
of.
I don't get paid to play video games. Therefore, I'm not a professional at that either. Um, yeah, not a professional athlete. Yeah, I just checked. So, uh, I don't think he's going to be back at all this season. And to be completely honest with you, Deshaun Jackson might just hang him up, man. He might be done.
Yeah,
Um,
it's sad.
yeah, it's a bummer, man. But life goes on. This is some scary news with Le'Veon Bell. He had an MRI today. Uh, they're not sure how serious the injury is. He hasn't been super effective this season, which that's kind of how I felt about him going into the season. I thought, yeah, he's going to get a lot of work, but it's a really bad team. It's just a really bad team. He was held to just 66 rushing yards this week. He had 5 receptions for 55 yards. So, I mean, it was an okay game. He got some yardage in the receptions, but he hasn't topped 70 rushing yards all season and only has 2 touchdowns. If this injury slows him down at all, he's borderline sittable if you have a team to support it. So, Josh Gordon with the Seahawks. I'm not sure if you guys covered that in the show last week or not.
No, it broke right after the show.
Yeah, I didn't remember hearing it. So, yeah, Josh Gordon signed with the Seahawks last week. He has cleared his physical. So that injury reserve designation that he was given by the Patriots is kind of interesting. There's a little bit of
Yeah, they totally did that just to drop him.
yeah,
To waive him.
right. So he is cleared. He is ready to go with Seattle next week. I don't think he's fantasy startable. We'll be talking about the Seahawks wide receivers later on in this episode,
Yeah,
so I won't go into too much detail.
and also they're going up against the 49ers, who have one of the better defenses in the NFL.
Right. Yeah. Um, I don't know. He should be held on to if you own him in a deep league. But if you've only got like a 6-player bench in a redraft league, ooh, he might be filling up a roster spot that you don't want him filling up. So just keep that in mind. Brandon Cooks out with a concussion. No timetable of return. This is not his first concussion. It's his 5th reported concussion in his career, and I'm thinking 3 weeks, 2 weeks minimum, 5 weeks max. With Brandon Cooks out, they're gonna be really cautious with him. I don't really want to start any of the wide receivers that might fill in for him. There's a couple names thrown around like Josh Reynolds. I'm not into it. I really like Cooper Kupp But I think not Brandon Cooks, help me out.
Robert Woods.
Robert Woods, thank you. Robert Woods gets an uptick here. So I think those guys are both startable. Could end up being a pretty good combo between those two with Brandon Cooks out, but we'll see. Too bad for him. I hope he makes it back for their playoff push. Rookie wide receiver Paris Campbell, rookie wide receiver for the Colts, had surgery on his hand today, fractured hand. They're not placing him on IR, which means they are hopeful that he'll be back. They are flirting with the playoffs. They could make the playoffs easily. I think that's part of the reason they don't want to put him on IR. It's make sure that he's available for the playoffs. But it's a bummer. He hasn't had the greatest season, but he's shown flashes of being a pretty talented wide receiver. So I hope that works out for Paris Campbell. Somebody to watch for, next season. Just keep an eye on him. He could emerge as a fantasy relevant talent. And then the last piece of news, the great wide receiver that never was, Dante Moncrief, has been claimed by the Carolina Panthers. Justin, you and I had conversations in the offseason on this show, whether or not he's a wide receiver, a low wide receiver 1, a high wide receiver 2 with Pittsburgh. What is he going to do? The ceiling. Well, he was dropped.
Well, I mean, Big Ben getting injured did not help him there.
No, absolutely. But his floor this season apparently is being dropped by his team. So he's with the Panthers. I don't really see it as an upgrade for him.
I mean, it's an upgrade from not having a job.
That's fair. That's fair. But I think when it comes from the Steelers to the Panthers, it's kind of a lateral shift, right? I think he's going to kind of have almost the same amount of production, maybe a little more, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, not enough to really be fantasy relevant unless you're in a very deep league, like some sort of dynasty league, but you probably don't want him if you have a dynasty league anyway.
No, I used to be such a Dante Moncrief believer when he was with the Colts.
You're a Moncriefer?
No. Dante, say that again.
Nice.
It's just not going to work. I just don't see him having a fantasy relevant career going forward. So they have 2 young wide receivers there. This isn't fantasy news, really. The reason I bring it up is to just tell you guys I do not recommend you go out and get him with the hopes that he's got a fantasy home now. So
I got 2 things that I had read about that I just want to bring up before we move on. Adam Thielen got re-injured this week. He re-injured, I believe it was his hamstring, and left the game.
Oh, he's not feeling good?
Yeah, again. And then also...
he seems to be hooked on that Thielen.
Yeah, he needs to get over that Thielen.
I feel like this is low-hanging fruit with him. You can just make this joke over and over again.
Is it low-hanging fruit because he's Adam?
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one.
And then the other one was Jacoby Brissett, MCL sprain, but they say he might be playing this week. That seemed kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, well,
I'm not a doctor, but just an MCL sprain seems like something you shouldn't rush your quarterback.
Did they say sprain or strain?
I thought they said sprain.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
The sprain, I agree, is a little surprising. If it's a strain, yeah. I guess it's probably pain management at that point. So with him, so I hope he's back, man. I like Jacoby, but I hope.
Yeah, I know. I really like him. Okay, and then news no one cares about. So the XFL tweeted out a tweet about they weren't going to say anything negative about the Washington team this week because there's a good chance some of those players will be playing for them next year.
Nice.
Brutal. I I know I read that. I'm like, this is like, dang.
That's
And it's
ruthless.
kind of the XFL like taking a shot at themselves at the same time.
I know, but I like the like self-aware insult,
Yeah, we know who we are.
I am who I am.
And you will be part of us too. Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry both got told at halftime they had to change their cleats or they would not be allowed to play the second half.
I was watching that game. Did you see Odell Beckham's cleats?
Yeah,
though?
his were ridiculous. Landry's weren't too crazy. Like I was kind of surprised by that. But yeah, his Joker cleats.
Yeah, the face of the Joker. That was pretty cool.
The refs did not agree.
No, it wasn't the refs. It was NFL officials like went into the locker room and they're like, "Change your shoes, man." Could you imagine if that was your job to make sure people are wearing the right shoes?
Oh, you don't want to lose that job. You got to take it serious. No Joker cleats out here. You think my job's a joke?
Yeah, no kidding. I wonder if that's what he said. I hope that's what he said. He walked in. Hey, Odell, you think my job's a joke? Take those Joker cleats off.
Respect my authority.
Okay, Tim. I don't know. Maybe his name's Tim.
I hope so. All right. Tyreek Hill, though, did you see that Damian Williams run where Tyreek Hill caught up to him and patted him on the back?
Yeah, he beat him to the end zone if you look at it.
Oh, yeah. He even slowed down when he got up to him, but he still passed him. And he started like 10 yards behind him.
And threw a block.
Yeah, on his way.
On his way.
And he said he did it because Damian Williams is always saying he's faster than Tyreek Hill in practice.
Newsflash. He's not.
Yeah, I don't know why this needed to happen. Like, in what world did anyone, including Damian Williams, believe he is as fast as Tyreek Hill?
I don't know. You know what I would have liked to have seen is right before he crosses the goal line, he just hands the ball to Tyreek because I could have used that touchdown.
Me too, in one of my leagues. and he deserved it. He beat him.
He did beat him.
All right, so fans during or after the game for the Jets were chanting "Fire Adam Gase."
Yeah, sounds like that's sound advice right there.
Yeah, and he was just left with his head down as he went into the tunnel. It looked so sad, and you could hear the fans chanting.
That's so bad. Hey, man, the XFL better not say anything about Adam Gase. He could be a coach next year.
That's true. Or a player. Adam Gase out there playing tight end. Also after that game, the Dolphins went full Super Bowl mode and poured Gatorade on their head coach Brian Flores for their first win of the year.
Oh man.
It was orange, by the way, if you guys were betting on that.
You can bet on that in Vegas
I don't
for the
think
Super Bowl.
You can on a regular season game though, because that never happens. Oh god. Okay, and then last piece of news no one cares about. A reporter asked Deshaun Watson how his eye injury was doing, and he said the key was Popeye's spicy chicken sandwiches that he ate this week. That helped the eye.
Wow. I wonder how much Popeyes is paying him for that comment.
Right. Yeah, good plug.
I saw a post on Reddit yesterday that was like getting ready for the Popeye spicy chicken sandwich release, and it's a guy with like a gun and a shield.
I want to know how much we're gonna get paid for that Popeyes plug.
I don't know. We should
looking at you, Popeye.
Yeah, I know you're watching Popeyes.
Just send one too. Yeah, just send a couple of those sandwiches this way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't need money. Just a sandwich.
Yeah, they could hop on board. We got a new sponsor coming on our Friday show that's sponsoring us with beer. So, I mean,
Yeah, man.
that's much appreciated.
Yeah.
We're drinking already on the show. Might as well do it for free.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. Well, Justin, is that all the news that we don't care about?
That's all the news no one cares about.
Thank God. All right. Why don't you take us into the meat and butter of the episode?
Okay, yeah. So we're going to go through a couple things. I want to go through some of the top performers, ones that were kind of surprises, and some of them may not be owned. So you guys might be able to target them on waiver wires.
Mhm.
And then after that, we'll get into some, let's say, established versus new players on the team to just kind of compare them and see, who we prefer going forward between them. All right. I'm going to start with the QBs, the head of the team here. We got Russell Wilson this week. He had 5 touchdown throws. That's amazing. He killed it. Obviously, the number 1 QB this week with 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, you and I were talking earlier today. He's my MVP. He's my clear-cut MVP. There are people in the discussion, right? Christian McCaffrey, you brought up Lamar Jackson. I think that's also a good person to be talking about. But Russell Wilson, man, could you imagine?
Oh no, just kidding.
Right? Could you imagine that Seahawks team without Russell Wilson?
Oh my God, I don't think they would have won a game this season.
It's possible.
I'm a 49er fan, and I think if you put Jimmy G there, that they're not winning a game.
Yeah. Maybe they might win one. They haven't had the hardest schedule, but Russell Wilson's incredible. He's having another incredible season. I think all this is showing us is that maybe last year he wasn't super healthy, because he did kind of have a downtick last year. But man, yeah, Russell Wilson for sure. He's my MVP currently. But yeah. Lamar Jackson should be talked about, I guess. But
and I agree with you. Like I said, if the vote were today, I wouldn't be able to not vote for Wilson if they gave me a vote for some reason. Sure. Also, but with Lamar Jackson, I think he's up there in contention for it to where he could overtake him if he were to have a great second half of the season.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And like we were talking about with McCaffrey, I hear a lot of talk about him. I just don't see it as him winning it. He's a great player. He's an amazing player, but
I think you should have to be on a playoff team to win MVP. In my opinion, right? And I don't know, whatever. We could talk about that forever, but
Let's get back to some fantasy news. Jimmy G, he's the QB2 this week. How shocking is that?
Definitely an overperformance on his part. Jimmy G.
Do you think it happens again, not this coming week, but the fall? Well, it could be this week too against Seattle's defense, and then again against Arizona.
Do I think he's going to throw 4 touchdowns?
No. Do you think he has a great performance? So, like let's say top 5.
No, I don't. I just don't. Either. They don't win with Jimmy G, right? Jimmy G isn't the reason they win games. It's their defense. It's their run game. Now, Emmanuel Sanders obviously brought something to this team, brought something that they needed, that Jimmy G needed. I think Jimmy G is going to be better rest of season than he was first half of season. Definitely. But no, he's not. I mean, top 10 is probably a good, I think he could scratch
the top 10.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll throw 4 touchdowns in a game rest of season. So
yeah, I agree with you, but like he's got 2 good matchups for the next 2 weeks. If you're hurting for a quarterback, he's not a bad start for those 2 weeks. Sure. But yeah, don't be expecting him to put these numbers up again. Yeah. Next is probably the guy I would start over him. Matthew Stafford is the QB3 this week.
Yeah, I would start Matthew Stafford over Jimmy G. I think his receiving core is better. I think his pedigree is better. And
he's available, and it was last I looked, it was over 50% of leagues, but that was like a week and a half ago. So
sure.
And then so after that, you got Fitzpatrick at number 4.
Yeah. Do we skip Lamar Jackson? Or we just already talked about him?
No, he wasn't a top. He wasn't in the top 4. He was
Oh,
number 5.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I love Ryan Fitzpatrick. Don't get
Yeah,
me
but
wrong.
I'm not starting him.
Yeah, that guy's awesome. He should definitely do sports casting afterwards. Just saying, just throwing that out there. Keep
No,
the beard.
he should join us.
Oh yeah, we'll get him on here, man. We'll get him on here. Who's next? Lamar Jackson, right?
So Lamar Jackson's next. I didn't even write him down because I feel like this is right where he should be every week or higher.
Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson's a great talent. I think he could be the future of that team. I really think he needs to not run the ball so much. I know it works for fantasy. I know it's working right now for them, but he is a torn ACL away
from a fantasy owner viewpoint. Keep running that ball, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
From a concerned fan, don't run the ball anymore. Just start throwing the ball.
I think there's somebody sitting on that bench right now that should be talking to him about what his future could look like, and it's RG3.
Right?
RG3 is the backup right now, and you'd think there'd be a little bit of like, hey man, don't be me.
No, RG3 is like, be me so I could get on that field.
Yeah. No, Lamar Jackson's been fantastic.
Kirk Cousins, though, number 6 here, right behind him. I like that they've been being more balanced on this team. They seem to finally found their way. They got a nice even approach. It works great as a fantasy owner for any of their players, really. And I'm loving it. Kirk Cousins is finally starting to do what we expected him to at the beginning of the year.
You know, he had a good fantasy day, but he's kind of bailed out by the 3 touchdowns. He was pretty inefficient this week. He 50% completion percentage, 220 yards, but he threw together those 3 touchdowns, and that's what saved him. I had to start him this week, so thank God for those 3 touchdowns. I won by a point, so
yeah,
I needed every single one of them. But I don't want to start Kirk Cousins every week, even though he's improving. I think
there's a league where I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And Stafford's actually taken in that league. That was my first choice. So I'd start Stafford over him for sure. But I mean, he's startable if out of a lot of those bottom tier.
I put him maybe 1 rank above Jimmy G, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I could see that second half of the season.
Yeah.
With
Emmanuel Sanders,
I probably put him maybe another spot ahead of that, but not by much. It's close.
Sure. Who we got next?
That's it for QBs. I'm gonna get into some running backs.
Is this the meat or the butter of the team?
I think this is the meat right here. The wide receiver is definitely the butter.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So Kenyon Drake is the running back 2.
Yep. Kenyon Drake is the running back 2.
No, but he's the number 2 running back this week.
No, I know. I know he was. I know, but I guess we were wrong about Kenyon Drake. No, because both of us slow rolled him a little bit. Absolutely. We weren't super bullish on saying he's going to do this well. But I will say it was kind of a down week for running backs in general. I don't know. He had a good day. Is he going to continue to have this kind of day going forward? I don't think so.
Yeah, and I don't think we were wrong for saying not to start him. I mean, all the statistics and stuff, everything that you could look at to see whether you should start him would tell you not to. Yeah, you're going to be wrong on some of those, but you got to err on that side because you're going to be right more often than you're wrong when you do that. So, yeah, he put up points, and that sucks to miss out on him. Yeah, but it was the right move.
Are you starting him going forward?
No.
Okay.
I'm still out on him. If I'm desperate, I might.
I think he's probably a fairly safe flex play until one of the other 2 running backs on that team comes back. If David Johnson's healthy, I'm not starting either of them, to be completely honest with you, until I know David Johnson is fully healthy. So, yeah, flex play on Kenyon Drake. I'm okay with that. You guys can go ahead and do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It hurts. Like, I don't like. I wouldn't want to be putting him in there because I feel like you're gonna put him in there and then he's not gonna show out. If you if you're desperate and you need to put him in there, put him in there, and hopefully it turns out for you. And hopefully I'm wrong on that, and you'll be able to use him week to week, and like Perry said, till DJ comes back. But yeah, like you said, once DJ's back, don't start anyone in that backfield.
Yeah. Okay, move on. Let's move on.
Yeah. Melvin Gordon. He resecured their backfield.
Was he that good?
I mean, was he that good? No. He broke out, or he did get the red zone carries to get the 2 TDs.
Yeah.
I think he had 8 carries to Eckler's 1 in the red zone. So I mean, that's kind of like the highlight of it.
Yeah.
And then also he had 20 attempts, like rushing attempts, compared to Eckler's 12. So
yeah,
I mean,
he was serviceable in fantasy. He still does not look like Melvin Gordon in my opinion.
No, but it looks like they're starting to lean on him more especially in the red zone.
They certainly haven't. They've certainly been leaning on him since he's come back more than I thought they should. But I mean, all those red zone rushes, you have to start him if he's going to get that work in the red zone. And
yeah,
I don't want to be the person that has to figure out what to do with Melvin Gordon if I own him on fantasy. I think that's a tough position to be in. But hopefully it improves. Hopefully he continues to get the red zone work and it's be more efficient rushing the ball.
You might be able to trade him coming off this week.
I think I would. I think I would try to trade him for somebody like maybe David Montgomery.
Yeah. Or I even like Josh Jacobs, but I'd prefer Montgomery out of those two.
I'd be surprised if anybody gave you Josh Jacobs for him.
And I'd actually prefer Montgomery out of the two, and I think it's more likely to more likely to get him.
Who's our next guy to talk about?
Damian Williams. He had a big week.
He had a big run.
Yeah, he had a big run, which gave him a big week. Like I completely agree with you. I don't like him still. Oh man, this one player that I forgot to put on in the last part of our episode that I wanted to. And then so I'm just going to move right past. Neither one of us like him, so no reason to talk about him. Singletary had a big week this week.
Yes, he did. And I like Devin Singletary a lot. I think we can go back and watch episodes, but I think I mentioned that he could be the most talented rookie running back in this class. He could be. He could end up having one of the best careers out of the rookies running backs in this class. He's that good. I really believe that.
He's just got to worry about Frank Gore stealing his youth.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe that's how Frank Gore does it. Maybe Frank Gore's a vampire.
I'm convinced of it.
We go places in this show, let me tell you. Yeah. 20 carries, 95 yards, a touchdown.
We'll talk more about him here in a minute. So I'm not going to get too far into it, but yeah, I like him going forward. He's great.
If he gets 20 carries a game, he's an RB1 in my opinion. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Next running back, Ronald Jones.
Ronnie.
He had a big week, and to highlight it, the coach said that he's earned more carries.
I don't care what the coach said. That should have been on news nobody cares about.
Yeah, I kind of do. I mean, I care about it here. It's not so much like I'm going to pick up Ronald Jones and start him in most leagues. But if I have, like, there's some deeper leagues that, we're in a few where I think that you could start him, like in some deeper leagues as a flex spot.
My one concern with him is the same concern I had last year. He can't pass block. He's terrible. He's a terrible pass blocker, which means he's not going to be on the field in certain situations. And that's what concerns me. So if he can improve in that, I think he's a really good running back. You hand him the ball, he knows what to do with it. But he's got to improve in other aspects of his game, in my opinion, to really be fantasy relevant. In a deep league, like you're saying, I completely agree with you.
Gotcha. And then James White. He had a big week. I know that was probably painful for you to watch as the Sony Michel owner
It was
in our league.
it was a weird game.
Yeah,
And they used him really weird. Uh,
I
like,
saw him lined up as a wide receiver a couple times.
well, so they went into the game and even said, we're going to play him like a wide receiver, but then he started getting goal line carries, and
Yeah,
and
New England was like, "Oh yeah,
like New England does that, but not with him, right? They do that with Rex Burkhead
yeah."
or Bolden or whatever, but like Sony wasn't getting the goal line carries, and I guess I was a little surprised by that, but I was more surprised by who was getting them, and that was James White. So,
Yeah, the,
I don't know.
yeah, the one running back you would least expect to be back there.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, it was a weird week. It's not a player who I would expect anything like that from again anytime
yeah.
soon.
I would
Uh,
I think I like. So we were talking about Ronald Jones just a moment ago. I think I like James White more than Ronald Jones going forward,
oh man,
just because of the ability to catch the pass, and he's so explosive. And when they get close to the playoffs, they'd love to use him.
yeah, I think, man, that's rough. I think I'd rather. No, okay, yeah, I'm on board. James White. Uh,
Yeah,
between those two, like I want to say Ronald Jones so bad, but you're right. And James White has the higher ceiling between the two. And if I'm in a deep league and I got to start one of them, I'm gonna start the dude who might be able to actually like put up, RB1 numbers, and that's
yeah,
not Ronald Jones.
yeah.
It sucks though because Ronald Jones is going to be their starting running back, so you'd like to see that from him. But yeah, I just don't see it on that team. And like you said, his skill set.
For
All
sure.
right, wide receivers.
Let's go to him. The
So
butter.
the butter here. We got the wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 3, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf.
You
I-
do you want to do it or you want me to do it?
you go ahead. You can do it. You got it.
I didn't want to do it, man.
I
All
know.
right, Tyler Lockett, Mr. Lockett. I'm gonna have to start calling you Mr. Lockett out of respect. Uh, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Tyler Lockett is good at football, and I feel like he listened to the show and has a personal vendetta against me because this man is playing. He is playing really well.
He is outperforming any sort of metrics you can look at. He does not regress. He doesn't
It
know what that word means.
it makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. 13 receptions for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had
It's true.
18 targets.
It felt like he had 13 receptions for 18 touchdowns.
Yeah. 18 targets is not a sustainable number. I'm fully aware of that. And I will take that little nugget, and that's mine. You can't get 18 targets a game, but
Don't say that, Perry. He will.
Tyler Lockett is a must start. I'm sorry. I can't believe I said that. But you can have the good part. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Justin.
I was gonna say that, Perry, but I was too busy taking my foot out of my mouth about Tyler Lockett. So yeah, man, Tyler Lockett killed it. And then DK Metcalf, I mean, he had 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. That's almost unpredictable, except I predicted that. I was off on the yardage. I thought he'd have 200 yards. He only had 140. But I mean, those two dudes went off.
Dude, he had 123 yards receiving, right? My biggest worry with DK was like all he is a goal line target, which sounds good, but then you live and die by the touchdown. Then he comes out and gets 123 receiving yards and the touchdown. It's like, oh no, they they've unleashed something here. And
Yeah.
between DK and Tyler,
DK heard that they signed Josh Gordon, and he was like, "Oh no, I need to keep my job."
He looked over at let's see, who did he look over at? Chris Carson was like, "Hey man, hold my beer. I gotta go secure my job." Rashad Penny had a really nice run this week too, by the way. But
yeah. All right, moving on though. We got Mike Evans at the number 2. Another beast week from him. That's 2 in a row since they came back from their bye week. They've had 2 games, and he's
Those it's all about the targets, man. Look at the top 2 wide receivers: Tyler Lockett, Mike Evans. 18 targets, 16 targets. It's insane. Yeah, yeah. Mike Evans. Hey, we told everybody go get Mike Evans early on
trade
in the
for.
season. Yeah, we told everybody to go do it, and now you're not gonna be able to get him. So
Yeah, Emmanuel Sanders, or you did, and you're welcome. Emmanuel Sanders had a big week. He looks like the #1 wide receiver that San Francisco's been missing.
yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago when they got him.
Yeah,
I mean, I was in full agreement that he was better than any wide receiver they had there. This good, I don't know if I was really predicting this good. We'll see if he can continue to do it. But like I said when we were talking about Jimmy G, it's an improvement. He's definitely an improvement.
yeah. And Mohamed Sanu, the other late season trade, he had a big week too. And for New England, he was targeted heavily in that game.
Mohamed Sanu has always been a very good possession receiver, and that's Tom Brady's game right now.
Yeah, that's his
Tom Brady
butter.
Yeah, Tom Brady is just moving the sticks, man. He's not looking to drop in 45-yard dimes anymore. He's like he's just going to beat you 13 yards at a time, and Mohamed Sanu is very happy to do that. So,
yeah, he's got 2 of the best receivers in the NFL for that.
Yeah,
with
no
Julian
kidding.
Edelman.
Yeah.
And then we got the last 2. We got that these 2 guys you might be able to pick up off waivers. You got Crowder and Pascal. How do you feel about them?
I like Zach Pascal more than Jamison Crowder. Yeah, I think Zach Pascal's on a better team with a better quarterback, with a better running back, with a better offense, period. So I like Zach Pascal more. Jamison Crowder does this. He's done this. It's like he is like, look how good I am. Man. Then everybody gets excited and picks him up, and then he's like, psych.
I had him in my lineup this week, and I just couldn't commit to it in one of our leagues, and so I pulled him out like a minute before the game started, and then I sat there and watched him in anger the whole game.
Yeah, I like Zach Pascal more.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
He looked good, and like you said, on a better team that is better at throwing the ball, which is important for a receiver.
Definitely, yeah. Most receivers catch the ball after it's thrown.
Yeah, we've been watching some John Madden clips to get prepared for this.
Or like Booger McFarland.
That's his protege. Yeah. All right, so that's all the players I wanted to go through for this week.
Mm-hmm.
So now we'll get into some of these like more established players versus their like new up and coming players. So I picked basically players all on the same teams. Got one kind of curveball at the end. So we got the first one. We already spoke a little bit about these guys, but DK versus I put versus. It doesn't necessarily have to be a versus, but DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Mm-hmm. Man, I like you said, both these dudes are amazing. Like Lockett has just been showing out all season.
I think excuse me. I think part of what's going on here is Tyler Lockett has kind of been forced to be both a possession receiver and a deep threat because there was nothing else there. I'm sorry, but Doug Baldwin he hasn't done it in a while, and I don't know. I think Tyler Lockett is better than Doug Baldwin. So I foresee that continuing for the rest of the season, whereas he's going to be everything, right? But going into next year, I really think DK Metcalf is going to take over that possession receiver role. He will have some deep threat value. Of course, he's a fast, athletic guy, and then Tyler Lockett is going to be that burner that we know that he is. And I think they're going to really start meshing well together, and it's going to be more easily predicted fantasy wise. For me, they are both startable going forward.
Yeah.
Period. I wouldn't want to start them both on the same team. It's just not ideal. I don't like to do that with wide receivers, but man, if you're in the position where you do own them both, I think you kind of have to. You have to start both.
Yeah, and I'm not starting next week I might not start DK against the 49ers defense. I'm okay with starting Lockett just because, I mean, he has been the number one wide receiver there, and I can't with Russell Wilson's. If I have to guess on who's getting a touchdown next week or two, it's going to be Lockett. DK, he's been doing great, but he has been a little matchup dependent. That's the only thing I have to say, like negative about him. He's a great wide receiver. I completely agree with you. I think going forward, especially next season, just like his growth into his second year, that's if you're in a dynasty league, that's going to be a beautiful thing.
I think DK. I think if I'm in a standard league, so non PPR, I think I would start DK next week just because of those goal line targets, right? The end zone targets. He could come down with a touchdown.
I mean, I know you know this, but for everyone out there, he is one of the. I think he's either first or second in goal line targets. Yeah. So, end zone targets. Yeah.
I agree with you. It's a bad matchup, but I'm a firm believer in not sitting key guys even in bad matchups. It scares me. I don't like to do it. So, but yeah, it's hard to pick one going forward. I guess I'm picking Tyler Lockett just because he's got the pedigree, but next season, DK could be the guy, but I like them both.
Yeah. All right. So next set of guys I got here is Frank Gore and Dalvin Singletary or Devin Singletary. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking of Dalvin Cook.
You're always thinking of Dalvin Cook.
I know. I love him. I'm sorry. We have a connection.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah. So Devin Singletary and Frank Gore.
Yeah. Just to start, I've already kind of made it clear how I feel about Devin Singletary. I think he's really, really talented. I think he's on a I think he's not in the best position right now with having to earn his spot over a guy like Frank Gore. I don't quite understand why they're still leaning on Frank Gore. I guess that's it. They're a team that wants to win, right? They are, and they're close. They're not bad. They've got a great defense.
Yeah, 6-2.
They've got a fairly talented quarterback. I think he's still growing and learning. And they got this brand new running back. And I think that they should be working on creating synergy between Josh Allen and Devin Singletary. And Frank Gore should just be the backup right now. He should be the second back, coming in, spelling Devin Singletary every now and then. But they should be getting this guy as much experience as possible. And I hope that their plan was to just ease him in for the first half of the season and then really use him going forward and into the playoffs. So I like him going forward, but I am apprehensive. I'm a little scared because I need him to get the actual bulk of the work.
The one thing I worry about is a lot of these coaches like to, when they get in the red zone, give it to the more experienced back because they don't want him to fumble.
Yeah.
So that's just something to think about. But Singletary is, to me, the clear talent here.
Yeah.
And Halloween's past, so you could stop worrying about the vampire.
Yeah. Gun to my head, I'm starting Devin Singletary. No gun to my head, I'm still starting Devin Singletary.
All right. So I'll put the gun away.
Yeah.
All right. So we get next one here. Oh man, this one's tough for me. So we got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. The part that's tough for me here is just Godwin's last 2 weeks, and Mike Evans' last 2 weeks, because it's not a huge, like we were talking about this before. There's not a huge difference in the targets. It's not a massive number that you see this week.
Except this week.
Yeah. Well, he had, I think, 13 targets.
No, Mike Evans had 16 targets.
No. I think Godwin had 13 and he caught like 7. I could be wrong on that.
I thought he had like 9 or something, but go on.
Okay, but yeah, so he's been getting his same amount of targets that he's been, though, is my point. He's just not. Godwin hasn't been producing the last 2 weeks since they came back from the bye week. No touchdowns, and just his numbers are very down. Mike Evans, on the other hand, has been a complete monster since the bye week happened. I I still like Godwin. Watching him play, he's a clearly talented player. I think that's just more what their offense was doing, and like the quarterback, his read progressions are going, and he's just going straight to Evans, which has been working out. So great for him. So I think Godwin's gonna rebound from this. You're gonna see his numbers come up a little bit here, and hopefully he makes it in the end zone here in the next week or so.
Yeah,
Uh,
I guess if I was ranking these guys rest of season, it would be very close, but Mike Evans might be a little higher. Just because I think that Jameis Winston and Mike Evans have a closer relationship. He trusts him more. But if I'm ranking them for next season, I might put Chris Godwin ahead of him. I really might. The age difference isn't that large. It's really close. I'm not sitting Chris Godwin. I'm a Chris Godwin owner. I'm not going to sit him. Well, actually, that's not true. I have an embarrassment of riches on my team. Okay, I have to choose between Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, and Tyreek Hill. So it's my problem. I take on the burden, but
I'll take one of those burdens.
Oh, I'm sure you would. Mike Evans, I guess, rest of the season, but I'm not like standing up on a soapbox preaching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mike Evans and Jameis Winston take long walks on the beach, and Chris Godwin and Jameis Winston Netflix and chill.
Yeah. They take long walks on the beach, and it's Mike Evans begging Jameis Winston to not get suspended again. You know, he really needs him. That sort of stuff.
Yep. All right. So next we got Jordan Howard versus Miles Sanders. Now, I'll let you go ahead and talk first. Yeah, this one's rough for me. Okay. And I don't like my answer.
I am a fan of Jordan Howard. I think Jordan Howard has been treated unfairly for the majority of his career fantasy-wise. Okay? He's been good, right? Everybody says how bad he is all the time, but he's been fine fantasy-wise. But I don't care anymore. Miles Sanders is the guy. He's the future for that team. Yet Jordan Howard's carries keep going up.
Yes.
Right? So it's not, you'd think you'd see the opposite. You know, this last 2 weeks, 23 carries and 19 carries. I would have expected that week 1 and week 2, and then to us be going the opposite direction. But no, he's increasing in work. He's done well with the work he's gotten. I don't blame the coaches, I guess, for like being like, hey, it's working. But you got to think about your future here. And Miles Sanders is your future. So I don't know what to do going forward with these guys. They have a bye week this week.
And not to mention Jordan Howard is like, he keeps finding the end zone.
Right. He has 6 touchdowns in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah. That's an average of almost 1 per week.
No, not almost. They have the bye week next week. Then they have New England. I honestly don't really want to start either of them against New England. But I guess I'm starting Jordan Howard. I guess so. With the touchdown, it's like, hey man, if he's gonna score a touchdown, he's gonna score a touchdown. But
I got you. Yeah, I agree with you. It's Miles Sanders does get the passing work, or more passing work, not by a huge margin.
Yeah.
He's better at it. He's last 4 weeks, he's had 3 receptions on 3 targets. So that's pretty good. And very consistent, oddly consistent with that low of a number.
Yeah. I guess I've been doing this for all these matchups. I like Miles Sanders next season. I guess I like Jordan Howard right now, rest of season. But
me too. And I don't like that. I like it.
I feel like I'm in a really bad place fantasy wise if Jordan Howard is like my 1 or 2, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have a league where I have Miles Sanders. I don't have Jordan Howard, and I've just been staring at my lineup like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
It's a really tough one. I think I don't know. I don't know what fantasy advice to give people. on what they should do with these guys. Maybe trade Jordan Howard. Maybe go trade him.
Yeah. All right. Well, this next one I think is pretty easy. We talked about this a
Thank
little
God.
bit. Yeah. Ronald Jones versus Peyton Barber. I think the clear choice here, but if you're choosing between these guys, is Ronald Jones.
Oh, I was going to say a different team, but
Oh.
yeah.
Is to drop them and get someone off the waiver wire. But like I said, Ronald Jones, I could see him being started as a flex in a deeper league if you needed someone for a week or two. It's not ideal, but it could work out for you. It's not great, but Peyton Barber, on the other hand, you're not starting anywhere in any format.
I would say that what we've seen here since week 4 is kind of what I would have expected. But keep in mind, I mean, he had a 23 carry game week 2. He had a 13 carry game week 3. He did have a 10 carry game week 8. I'm okay with him getting 4 to 8 carries, but when he starts getting those double-digit carries, it starts to worry me. Not because I think he's good. It's more because I think the coaches are stupid. So, if you're going to rely on the coaches to do the right thing, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee they will. But Bruce Arians, come on, you're a smart coach. You've won Coach of the Year. Stop giving the ball to this guy. Yeah, I like Ronald Jones more as well.
Now this last one, bit of a curveball. They're not on the same team, but they once were. Tom Brady versus Jimmy G rest of the season.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I feel like there's going to be this week. The only reason I bring it up is this week, like I said, Jimmy G was the number 2 QB. Tom Brady wasn't in the top 10. There's going to be all sorts of people are like, oh my God. And the Patriots lost. So they're going to be like, Tom Brady's done. His career's over. They lost a game. Tom Brady's fine.
I say Tom Brady really confidently, but I think it's closer than what people think.
Yeah, I think they're both fringe top 10 quarterbacks.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with Tom Brady. It's
the safer pick.
Yeah, I know what I'm getting from Tom Brady, and I mean he could have 300 yards, three touchdown day at any moment. It doesn't matter who he's playing.
Yeah, absolutely. The fantasy football community has extremely short memories, because Jimmy G, beginning of the season, people are talking about how he was a horrible quarterback. What was it? Week 7, he had 6 fantasy points.
Yeah.
That was that horrible game in Washington with horrible weather. But also he had 12 fantasy points twice, 13 fantasy points once. He's not that, he hasn't been that consistent. He's had some really good weeks in there too, outside of those weeks, but you just don't know when those weeks are going to come. Like you're saying, Tom Brady, you know what you're going to get. He's more consistent. That's who I'm going to go with 9 times out of 10.
And with the San Francisco 49ers, they don't want to throw the ball all the time. They don't. It's not how they're going to win, or how they've been winning games, right? They want to run the ball. They want to control the clock. They want their defense to win the game. That's how they want to win games, and that's fine. I think that's how you win games in the playoffs, to be completely honest with you. So I don't think they want Jimmy G throwing the ball 40 times a game, period. And Tom Brady, that offense still runs through Tom Brady. So
Tom Brady sees the right defense out there. He's going to audible into a deep pass.
Yeah.
Jimmy G probably isn't.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
All right, but that's the episode. Shoot, that's all the players we're going to talk about.
I've got a PSA for everybody. That's a public service announcement, if you didn't know. I was at BlizzCon. I got to see all these new games coming out. And I know some of our listeners play video games, so I'm just going to come out and say it. You guys need to go watch the Diablo 4 trailer, okay? You need to go watch it. It was incredible. I almost cried when it started. It is so cool. So everybody, please go watch that. It's on YouTube. You can find it. Diablo 4 cinematic trailer. Go check it out. It's amazing. They're not paying me for this.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Thank you guys for joining us. Our next episode, we're going to be having stepmom Lauren come join us. You should follow her on Twitter as well. Awesome. She writes articles for the Fantasy Footballers. And she is really, I read one of her articles before the season started about Mark Andrews. I had barely heard his name before this moment, and she is spot on. So
yeah,
great person. Follow on Twitter. Great information.
Yeah, super strong grasp on what's going on around the NFL fantasy wise. I'm excited to talk to her. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot. So
yeah, I'm gonna bring my notebook. All right, thank you everyone. We'll see you Friday.
bye.